how do you leave the YouTube OAC? If you create an official artist channel, which basically means you create your own channel, you already have your own topic channel from your releases, and then you merge them, you get that note check mark, you're verified on YouTube. How do you leave that? I've gotten this question a few times here and there, and it's ironic because typically I made a bunch of videos about how to join it, right? And a lot of people want to sign up, but I have had more and more people hit me up saying, hey Mark, I'm not gonna lie, for whatever reason, I actually want to leave the OAC. I don't want to be verified anymore. I don't want to be considered an official artist channel on YouTube. How do I leave? I'm going to be honest, this is very tricky. And there's not a right or wrong answer. I've not seen any evidence actually anywhere online of how to do this, but I have done it personally twice for a couple different reasons that are subjects for a different video. Unfortunately, both like kind of tricky reasons. But anyway, I've done this twice. Here's what I've done that's worked for me. And again, there's no, I think, right or wrong path for this, which makes it even more annoying. One, you do typically, for me, what I've done, typically you do not go through your distributor. Now, this goes against everything YouTube and Google says. In case you don't know, Google owns YouTube. Typically, when you want to sign up and create a YouTube OAC, you now have to go through a distributor. Back in the day, you could actually manually contact YouTube, submit some information, and then they would actually do it kind of with you. And then I think at a certain point, YouTube says, you know what? It makes more sense for the distributor who's doing the releases, which therefore creates the topic channels on YouTube and everything. Makes more sense for the distributor to deal with the OAC. To an extent, we're staying out of the merging process in terms of signing up and everything. However, this kind of goes against that. One, do not go through your distributor. I don't think, as far as I know, they can really help you. Now, again, this may change over time, but as far as I know, I don't think they can actually really help you with the situation. Because when I have, let's say, contacted DistroKid, they're like, hey, Mark, we can't really do anything. Which goes on to step number 2, and this is what you do. You go to YouTube Studio, you go to the chat on YouTube Studio, and whether you're, let's say, monetized or not, you can typically still talk to YouTube, and you just say, hey, YouTube, I'm in the OAC right now. I just want to ask you or tell you that I'd like to leave. Now, when I initially did this first, they did give me a little bit of pushback. And YouTube said, hey, Mark, are you sure you want to leave? YouTube has access to all these different features. You're going to lose access to all these features. You're going to lose that note check mark. You're going to lose X, Y, and Z. And I said, yes, I still would like to proceed. The second time I had to do this, and again, 2 different reasons for both time. It's kind of annoying and frustrating. And I'm still dealing with some issue. I'm still dealing actually with a lot of issues with my own OAC. Again, subjects for a different video. But the second time I did this, I got a lot of pushback. Where at first, YouTube said, hey, Mark, sorry, you have to contact your distributor. So they almost said, like, it became one of those cat and mouse games, or I don't know if that's the right symbolism for this, where they'd say, hey, Mark, go to your distributor. Then I'd go to DistroKid, and they'd say, hey, Mark, no, you got to talk to YouTube. And then I'd go back to YouTube. So it became this back and forth thing, but at the end of the day, it still was talking to YouTube. So I would pull up chat again and say, hey, I talked to my distributor. They said that I have to talk to you. I would like to leave the OAC. If they said to me again, hey, Mark, sorry, go to your distributor, I would typically say no, just letting you know, when doing some research or when talking to somebody or whatever, they told me I have to talk to YouTube. If there's any way, I'd like to submit a special request just to be removed from the YouTube OAC for this channel, and I would like to become a normal YouTube channel again. I might have to say this a few more times, even if they give me some pushback. And then eventually, at some point, they said, okay, Mark, you know what? We're going to push this forward. I then got like a special email from YouTube saying, hey, we heard you want to leave the YouTube OAC. Here's the features you're going to lose. You're not going to get access to your releases anymore on the same channel, et cetera, et cetera. And then after all this, and it does take a little bit, which I'll talk about the timeline, I was eventually removed from the YouTube OAC. Like I said, I've done this twice. It is kind of a hassle. I think more of just, you have to kind of pester them a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, what's that quote? One of my favorite quotes is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I think there's some truth to that. Sometimes there is some annoying aspect to that too, I will say, to being honest. And I think there's a fine but definite line between being persistent and annoying, right? Now, how long does this take? Like, what happens when you do this? How long does it take? I'd say it can take a while. I remember for the first time I did this, from the initial onset of me contacting them, it may have taken like, I think it was like 6 months. So it was a while. The second time was way quicker. The second time was probably like, I think, and I'm guessing, for my initial contact, probably like a month to 2 months, I'd say. So it was fairly quick the second time. So it was kind of ironic that even though the second time I got way more pushback, like I had to be a lot more persistent, it happened way quicker as opposed to the first time. There wasn't as much pushback, but it took way longer. My guess is, being honest, I think when I left it for the first time, which if I had to time some, it was maybe 2021, maybe 2022. So it was kind of around the pandemic-ish era, so maybe that's also why it took a little bit longer. But also, I remember talking to YouTube, I guess I was one of the first people, or the first handful of artists to actually leave the OAC. I was one of the first people to do it. So maybe that's also why, too, they're like, oh, we never get a question to leave. How do we do this, right? So I wonder if maybe because I was one of the first, they were trying to figure out how to like remove all the kind of stuff from the OAC and like create your channel again, or turn it into again a normal official artist channel. But gonna be honest, there's not a right or wrong answer to this. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it's not like there's like a clear-cut thing of, oh, here's how you leave it. It is very, very vague. And I've not seen any information about this online. So I pretty much have winged this both times. Both times I've just winged this. And like I said, I think the best thing you can do at this point is don't go through your distributor. Contact YouTube specifically through YouTube chat on YouTube Studio. Talk to them and then go from there.